Hey guys, welcome back to another video from VBA A to Z. I'm Lung Pamay, and in this video I'll show you how to create a custom progress bar or use an inbuilt progress bar in Excel user form. The same method can be used across applications. If you missed our prior videos, please find them from Professional UI/UX playlist. As always, project files and source codes are free for download and use. The only request from you is to support my channel so I can keep sharing all these useful videos. So before we begin, please do not forget to subscribe and hit the bell icon for upcoming videos. Progress bar are a great way to engage and calm your users. You can use them to set expectation and give them an impression about an activity happening in the background. This is something you can include in your application or program to improve your user experience. To begin, let me quickly show you some of the things I put together. First, I'll load the inbuilt progress bar. So you'll see it progresses with the small bars, blue bars, like this. Okay, that's inbuilt. The second one now I'm gonna show you, this is customized, like this. So you can include more message and like information in this progress bar itself. And the third one that I'll show you is this. This is basically a GIF looping. Okay, so these are the three things that I'll quickly show you in this short video. Let's first start with the inbuilt progress bar. For this, we'll insert a user form, maybe smaller like this, and we'll first put a button maybe to cancel, something like this, and look for this is the progress bar, like this. If you do not see this, just right click, go to additional controls and look for progress bar. This is the one you should be looking for, Microsoft Progress Bar Control version 6.0. So once you have this, what I did was I made the appearance to flat, the border style is none, and then there's nothing much you can change here. But this is really powerful and really useful control. So most of these controls can be taken care of from the code itself. So here the thing you need to know is this maximum and minimum. This number of times this bar is gonna show next, or show the progress. Okay, so if I make this to 10, it's gonna this bar will move in 10 times when you refresh this. Just to give a demo, let's put another button. So once you load this, right now you'll not see anything. So unload. Once you click on cancel, you can just unload the form and then any type of code that is running. So basically that's what you can do. And just to demonstrate this, I'll add a button here. And for now, let's set this progress bar maximum to 10. And I'll say every time this button is clicked, we'll increment it. Okay. So this plus 1, so do it 10 times. So you click this, it'll 1 time, 2 time, 3 time, 4 time, and so on. Okay, now let's say that you have to put this in your code. Basically this is the part you can directly have a function to increment it every time you refresh this. Before you can put this in your code, you can set the maximum before the process runs. That way you know what is the maximum, what is the number of times this progress bar is to be refreshed. Okay, now this is simple, and the code that is behind, as you already know, we are using the same code to hide the menu and load it up in the middle of the application. So this is to start up the form in the middle, and then this is to hide the menu bar, and then these are all the APIs relating to that. Okay, now let's go to the second one, this one. Okay, let's have a look at this. So basically what I did for this was I created a form like this, and I inserted 2 image controls. You already know this from our prior videos. Basically this for stop button, this for close button. Okay, and I'll browse the image, this for close, and this one is for stop, something like this. Okay, and I select both of them. I will say back style transparent and then the border to none. So if you load this up now, this is how it's going to look like. We'll set the back color as well to white, completely white, so that it matches with the buttons, something like this. Once I had this, basically for showing the progress bar, I used the label like this. Okay, and the label color, I took care of that on runtime, but basically it's blue, something like this. Okay, and then there's another which is hidden, just so that my code knows every time that what should be the maximum this particular label is gonna, like every time you refresh, is gonna increase the width like this. Okay, and then there is another thing, like just to show the message. Here is like just you can pass a custom message as well to tell that like current step, something like refreshing source table, something like that. And then at the top there is one more. It says please wait, something like this. All this can be dynamic. You already know how to pass this, exporting data, something like that. F4, and let's make this to this font. Something like this. Okay, so that's the idea behind the design. Nothing much. I'll show you the code that runs. Again, all these are set to transparent, back style, so that it matches with the form. So when the like the code is running, you can dynamically set this message. When this is clicked, it's gonna like close the form as well as end the process entirely. If you want to have some logging, you can incorporate that as well. And then hiding the like all this menu bar and close button and everything is again from the same code. Now let me quickly show you the code behind this. So there will be a module called VBA to Z, progress bar. Once you go here, you'll see this portion is basically all the parameters that is needed for this the custom progress bar. Again, this is once I run it in the first, it resets all the variables. This is just to check if the form is open. This is to close the form, unload, and this, like on error, resume next and go to 0 is basically if there's no form open, like it does not give an error, even if you try to close it. And then coming down here, this is to show the user form, and again, this is showing in model false, meaning that if you show the form in this fashion, you're able to click, like at the backend. Okay. This portion is to refresh next. In the inbuilt one, we have we can set a value with progress bar. One dot value is equal to x, like a value. But here I have this bar next. Every time you want to refresh it, you just need to run this code. It will like increment it one more time, like next to the next progress bar. And this code basically calls this code. So this portion, it's incrementing by 1, and then 2 process is also being incremented. I know this will not make sense at the moment. This portion calculates the percentage, and this update progress bar, this calls this parallel function, and here basically this is if exit is being clicked or like it's true, then it's gonna end the process. But then the thing that you need to note here is this portion. So here, if you have a message, you can use this. It's gonna processing this, and then like what has been processed and the number of items remaining to be processed, and this will show the percentage, and then this is gonna show the width. It's gonna increase the width based on the number of like the percentage being completed, and this will just repaint the user form, the progress bar in this scenario. This custom progress bar is ready to use. Let me quickly show you how to use it. So if you download the project later and see these test codes, and the first code that is there, you'll see here that first it loads up the user form, runs this show user form, and then second part basically just resets all the variables. Okay, and then it sets the number of times you want to refresh this particular progress bar. Okay, the number of times is gonna increment and progress. And here it's basically looping from 1 to the number of times that you set up here. It waits for like 0.1 second and then refresh the bar and close the user from when that is complete. So simple like that. Yeah. Now just let's say that you want to use this in your code. So before your code starts, you can specify this, and if your code is not gonna loop, you can insert all these bar next into your code in between all your codes. I'll demonstrate that in a minute. And then once that is done, you count all the bar next that you put within your code, and then you specify the number of times that is gonna run, because that way is easier to do it. If your code is looping, it becomes easier to know how many times this is going to loop through and dynamically set the number of times it's going to loop. In this scenario, this is the loop that is happening, so it's easier to identify it. So let's say that we'll create a simple data set, maybe. So I'll just quickly record a simple macro. Let's say this. I go to data tab and then filter by, let's say, AK, and then I create a new sheet and then come back here, copy all the visible cells, and then I paste it here like this, and then clears the clipboard, come back here, remove the filter, and then I end the recording. Now if I go here, you'll see this is a basic code, right? So let's say that this is your code and you want to use this progress bar. Basically what you need to do, you need to drag this into your project. So let's say that you have a new workbook like this and you want to use this progress bar. You just have to drag this into your, like this, and then you drag this one as well into your workbook, and then that's how you can start using it. Okay, I'm gonna close this one for now. So now in the code that we've recorded, let's say that we want to use the progress bar in this one. So ideally progress bar is useful only when the code is like running for a long time, like 3 minutes, 4 minutes, 5 minutes, or so on. But if it is gonna take a couple of seconds, it doesn't make sense to have a progress bar. Okay, but this is basically just to show you how to use this. So before your code runs, you show up the user form, you reset all the variables. Okay, and coming here, let me just copy this. Coming here, you'll say total to process. All these variables are already defined, so this could be 0 now because we need to identify how many times it's gonna run. So let's say that it goes to this tab, removes the filter, and then after removing the filter, you want to increase the progress bar 1 time, right? After adding the sheet, you want to like show the progress has been gone to the next step, and then after copying 1 more time, and then after clearing the clipboard 1 more time, and once it's done in the end 1 more time. So basically here you're telling the progress bar to refresh this many times. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times. So you can specify 5 times here. Okay, now one more thing, one small tip is, if you don't want to spoil the way your code is looking, basically what you can do is you can cut this and put the like the refresh in this fashion. So this is basically like telling that this part is in a different line to be executed differently. Okay, so that way is also fine. So now if we test this code, the last thing is we have to close the form when it's done like this. Okay, so if we test this code now, let me put a breakpoint here like this, and let's try and run this. I'm not sure, this portion might error. Let me just remove this. So maybe this workbook dot activate, something like that. Load up the progress bar in 0%. You can see there's a small, like loader that is ready to go. So if I go here now, that's a selection, and then it's gonna go to next. So if I refresh this now, F5, so it goes to 20%. If I do one more time, 40%, 60%, like this. So I'm doing F5 multiple times. Okay, so that's how you can include this within your like program. You can use in this fashion. If it is like if your code is looping, again the example to refer to will be this. It's very simple. So within the loop, let's say that this is a number of times. Let's say your code is dynamically looping from 1 to 500, right? And apart from the loop, if you have more steps that needs to be run, you can include that as well. Before your code runs, you can establish how many times it's going to run. Then you can include the manual steps as well before the loop and after the loop, and include that in the number of times to run. So this part basically is that how to use this custom progress bar, this one. Okay, now coming to the last part. This is a simple progress bar. If you load this up here, it basically just loads this based on the metadata in this or this. Okay, or you can directly download any GIF image and then load it. Now to demonstrate this, I'll insert a new user form again. So here what I did was insert this web browser, and then I assign navigate this browser to the GIF. So it basically opens up in the HTML, and then it's gonna load up like in the web page. Well, let's have a look at the code. This is the only line that you need to be know how it works. So there is this sample progress bar that I've downloaded, an image that like basically does the rounding like this. Okay, so let's try to use that. I'm gonna copy this. Now going to our user form. So I'll say me dot web browser one dot navigate, and then here you can just put the URL. Okay, now for the URL, let's put the local file path like this. So if I load this up now and run this, basically it's showing us like this. So what I did was, since the image is really small, I put a frame like this, and then I moved this within a frame, and then I adjusted to how it's gonna look like, for example. So something like this, and then I move it like this, and then I change the background so that it matches the form. Okay, so you got the idea how that is done. But then there's one more thing that I want to share with you in this part is you can like read the metadata from the binary image file. This is an example of how it's done. So for example, if you look here, this code is basically gonna read the metadata, and then it will save in the sheet that you specify. So let's say that instead of using like sharing the GIF file to the users, you can also just specify what is the metadata, and you can use this metadata to load the image. Okay, in this example I'm using the GIF. So now let's say that this is the progress sample file that is here. Now let's read this metadata and store it in this particular sheet. Okay, so I'm gonna run this. So it just reads the metadata and stores it here. When this progress bar is called, basically it's gonna come here again. This part is basically to draw the form, and then like to hide the menu and so on. Okay, and the menu bar and all this. And then this part of the code simply recreates the GIF image based on the metadata from the sheet. So here it passes the name of the sheet from this particular code, and then this part is going to recreate the GIF file in the temp folder. So if you go here, you'll see that there's a temp folder, and then the file name is temp GIF. Now it recreates the file from metadata, and then it basically navigates to that particular theme file. Okay, that's how it was working here. So let's demonstrate that now. Now if I say that, okay, load the GIF, the image from this particular sheet. So I'll run this. So it loads up. This is a new metadata that we added here in the sheet. Now let's say that we want to load it from metadata 1. This image is different. I already stored this just to give a demo. Now let's do it from metadata 2. So this one is again different. Okay, there are so many ways to do this, but this is one of the simplest ways to do this, and you can download these GIF images. I'll leave the link in the video description so you can download and play around more. That's all I have for you in this video. If you found this informative, please do not forget to leave a like and subscribe to my channel for upcoming videos. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in the next video. Bye bye.